Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at Ahmed Hulusi's The Beautiful
Oh,
Names.
yeah, this is a good one.
It is. It's really dense.
It is.
We're going to be exploring his unique perspective on the 99 beautiful names of Allah. But not just as, a traditional list of names, but as the very building blocks of reality.
Yeah, and how he kind of blends Sufi wisdom and even modern science into how those names aren't just titles, but they're the very forces that are shaping everything around us.
Yeah. Where do we even begin? This is like a really big topic.
Yeah, Hulusi, he uses this analogy of the Quran as a lens,
Okay.
but he actually talks about two lenses.
Okay.
The first one is represented by the letter B, and it stands for the idea that the part is the same as the whole. And he connects this to the holographic principle, where, any piece of a hologram contains the information of the entire image.
So even like a tiny fragment kind of reflects the whole thing.
Exactly.
I can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah.
So that's one lens. What's the other lens?
So the second lens is the concept of Allah as Ahad Samad, meaning the absolute self-sufficient one.
Okay.
So by understanding these two lenses, we can begin to grasp the nature of reality as described in the Quran.
Okay, so it's like we got a special decoder ring to unlock deeper meaning.
Right.
I like that. But I guess before we go any further, why is this idea of B, of the part reflecting the whole, so important? Why is that so central to the book?
Well, think about it. I mean, like your own life,
Yeah.
right? Every experience you have, every choice you make
Mm.
is a tiny part of this much larger picture.
Yeah.
But according to Hulusi, that small part also reflects the essence of the whole universe.
Oh, wow. So like even my struggles with finding matching socks in the morning are somehow cosmically significant.
Maybe not the socks themselves, but
Oh.
the struggle.
Okay.
The choices you make, even in those like mundane moments, reflect the same forces that are at play in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
The real shift in perspective.
Definitely not how I usually think about laundry day. Okay, so we got these two lenses, B and Ahadus Samad. What does Hulusi do with these? What's he trying to get us to see?
He really challenges us to move beyond seeing Allah as this separate being
Okay.
from creation
Hmm.
and to recognize the interconnectedness of everything
Okay.
through these 99 names.
He even redefines this idea of shirki,
Right.
right? I remember that was like a really thought-provoking point in the book.
Yes, because usually shirk is understood as like associating partners with Allah, like worshiping other gods.
Hmm.
But Hulusi takes it a step further.
Okay.
He argues that even when we act like our ego, like our individual desires and anxieties, are separate from Allah, that's a form of shirki.
So getting caught up in my own little world is actually a subtle way of denying that interconnectedness. That's a pretty deep way of looking at it.
It is.
Hmm.
It's about recognizing that nothing truly exists independently.
Hmm.
Everything is a manifestation of these divine names. And that leads us to another key idea, that these names aren't just labels.
Okay.
They're the actual building blocks of reality.
Okay, and he even talks about this trigger system, right? How certain names activate others,
Yes.
causing specific things to manifest in the world.
Exactly. He describes it as this complex web of names triggering each other. And he even links this to the concept of fate,
Oh, wow.
because all of these names and their interactions are within Allah's knowledge. It means the potential for everything that happens already exists.
So it's not like a pre-written script, but more like a cosmic recipe book where certain ingredients inevitably lead to certain outcomes.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
And understanding these names helps us understand ourselves and the forces that are shaping our lives.
Okay, so these 99 names are like the source code of reality.
Right.
Can we maybe get like a closer look at a few specific examples?
Yeah.
And how do they actually play out in our lives?
Sure. So let's take Ar-Rahman,
Okay.
often translated as the most compassionate.
Okay.
Lucy, he connects this name to the very potential for creation itself, like the quantum potential in physics.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Quantum potential. That's all about possibilities, right? Like
Yes.
things existing in this fuzzy, undefined state
Right.
before they become concrete.
Exactly. It's like the raw material of existence,
Yeah.
the source from which everything emerges.
Hmm.
And Hulusi says that's Ar-Rahman at work,
Okay.
constantly bringing forth new possibilities.
So it's not just about Allah being merciful, like after we mess up. It's about the very act of creation being an expression of compassion.
That's right. And it's not just compassion directed at humans, it's woven into the fabric of the universe itself. Think about the way nature works, the intricate balance of ecosystems, even the laws of physics that allow, stars to form and planets to orbit.
Yeah.
It's all an expression of Ar-Rahman.
It's a really beautiful way to look at it. It's like seeing the universe through this lens of love and not just like cold, hard laws.
Exactly. Now, another name with some really fascinating implications is Al-Wali, the guiding one. And Hulusi explains that this name guides us toward recognizing our true reality and living in alignment with it.
So it's not just about like finding the right career path
Right.
or making good decisions. It's about something much deeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Al-Wali is the force that nudges us towards realizing our true potential as beings that are composed of these divine names.
Mm.
He also connects Al-Wali to the concepts of sainthood, prophethood, and even the very essence of Allah's knowledge being personified.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. Is he saying that we all have the potential to be like saints or prophets?
Not necessarily in the traditional sense of those words.
Okay.
But what Hulusi's getting at is that within each of us, there's a spark of the divine, a connection to that universal consciousness.
Yeah.
And Al-Wali is that guiding force that helps us awaken to that connection, to realize that inherent potential for goodness and wisdom that we all have.
It's like that inner compass we all have, but we kind of just ignore sometimes. So how do we actually tune in to Al-Wali's guidance? How do we recognize it amidst all the other noise in our lives?
That's where the inner work comes in. Paying attention to your intuition, reflecting on your experiences, making choices that align with your deepest values.
That's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, like, my intuition tells me to eat the whole pint of ice cream.
Sure.
How do I know if that's, like, Al-Wali guiding me?
Right.
Or just my sugar cravings?
That's where discernment comes in. It's a process,
Yeah.
and we're not always going to get it right.
Yeah.
But the more we cultivate self-awareness, the more we can learn to distinguish between our ego's desires and the whispers of that deeper guidance.
So it's like learning to recognize Al-Wali's voice over time.
Yeah.
Okay. But what about when we mess up? Does Hulusi talk about how to deal with our mistakes? Those times when we don't quite live up to those divine qualities.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
He talks about the importance of repentance, turning back toward our true nature, and seeking forgiveness. That's where names like Atawab, the acceptor of repentance, and Al-Ghafur, the all-forgiving, really come into play.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Right.
So it's not about beating ourselves up for our mistakes, but recognizing them, learning from them,
Yes.
and moving forward with a renewed commitment to aligning with those divine qualities.
Exactly. And that process of repentance and returning is also an expression of those names. It's all part of this ongoing dance between our human limitations and our divine potential.
This is giving me like a whole new perspective on what it means to be human.
Good.
It's not about striving for this like unattainable perfection, but about recognizing that divine spark within us and constantly working to let it shine through.
It's beautifully put. And Hulusi emphasizes that this process isn't just about individual growth.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything. When we cultivate those divine qualities within ourselves, we're actually contributing to the harmony and balance of the whole universe.
Wow. That's a pretty powerful thought. So even something as simple as like choosing kindness over anger or honesty over deceit is making like a ripple in the cosmic pond.
Exactly. And those ripples spread out and affect everyone and everything around us. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so we've talked about Ar-Rahman, Al-Wali, Etawab, Al-Ghafur.
Right.
But there's still 95 other names to explore.
I know.
Can we dive into a few more examples
Okay.
of how these names manifest in our lives?
Of course, let's look at Al-Fatah,
Okay.
the opener. Hulusi describes this name as the force that enables us to see beyond limitations and recognize the inherent perfection in all of creation.
So instead of focusing on like flaws or imperfections,
Yes.
we're encouraged to see the potential for growth and goodness in everything.
Precisely. It's a real shift in perspective that allows us to appreciate the beauty and wonder of creation, even in its imperfections.
That's a powerful reminder, especially in a world that often feels very focused on negativity and division.
It is, and it ties back to that idea of interconnectedness, right?
Yeah.
When we see that inherent goodness in others, even those who are different from us, it helps to break down those barriers and fosters a sense of unity.
So it's not just about having like a positive outlook. It's about recognizing that divine spark in every being.
Exactly. And that recognition can lead to greater compassion, understanding, and even love.
Okay, so we have Ar-Rahman, Al-Wali, At-Tawab, Al-Ghafur, and Al-Fatah. What other names does Hulusi highlight in the book?
Well, one that stands out is Al-Alim,
Okay.
the all-knowing. And Hulusi explains that this name reminds us that true knowledge extends beyond our limited understanding.
Hmm.
It's a call to humility and a recognition that there's always more to learn.
So it's about acknowledging the vastness of knowledge and being open to new perspectives, even if they challenge like our existing beliefs.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the need to be right all the time and
Yeah.
embracing the journey of lifelong learning.
That's a really valuable lesson, especially in today's world where we're bombarded with information from all sides.
Right.
Yeah.
And Al-Alim encourages us to be discerning, to seek out knowledge that is true and beneficial, and to always be willing to question our assumptions.
So it's not just about accumulating facts. It's
Right.
about developing wisdom and understanding.
Precisely. And that wisdom comes from a deep connection to the divine, a recognition that true knowledge ultimately flows from Al-Alim.
This is all so fascinating, but I have to admit, it can be a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to grasp like the immensity of these concepts, the interplay of these 99 names, and how they shape our lives?
It's definitely a lot to take in, and Hulusi acknowledges that.
Yeah.
He encourages us to approach this exploration with humility and patience,
Hmm.
to allow the meanings of the names to kind of unfold over time.
So it's not about like memorizing a list or becoming an expert overnight. It's about developing a relationship with these names, allowing them to guide us on our journey of self-discovery.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a lifelong process of learning, reflection, and integration.
Okay, so we have Ar-Rahman, Al-Wali, At-Tawwab, Al-Ghafur, Al-Fatah, and Al-Alim. Are there any other names that Hulusi specifically highlights as being particularly relevant to our human experience?
He delves into some names that address the more challenging aspects of life, like Al-Kabid and Al-Basit.
Oh, yeah, those are the names related to like constriction and expansion, right?
Yes.
I remember that being a really interesting part of the book.
Yeah, Al-Kabid represents like constriction, holding back, or even like experiencing a sense of limitation. It can manifest as challenges or obstacles in our lives.
So it's like feeling stuck, like when you hit a wall and don't know how to move forward.
Exactly. And Al-Basit is the expander, opening up new possibilities and insights.
So they're like two sides of the same coin. It's like breathing in and breathing out, the contraction and expansion that's necessary for life to exist.
That's a great analogy. And Hulusi emphasizes that both constriction and expansion are necessary for growth. Challenges, they can refine us. They can help us discover inner strength and resilience.
So even difficult experiences can serve a purpose in our spiritual development.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the hand of Al-Wali, the guiding one, even in the midst of those trials.
Yeah.
And then when we're open to it, Al-Basit can step in, expanding our awareness and leading us to new levels of understanding.
It's like a dance between challenge and growth, darkness and light. It's reassuring to know that even when things feel constricted, there's always the potential for expansion and new beginnings.
Exactly. And that dance is ultimately orchestrated by the divine names, expressing themselves through the tapestry of our lives.
Yeah, it really is like a dance with these names, guiding our steps through every challenge and every triumph. It's making me rethink this whole idea of personal responsibility. Like, are we really in control, or are we just puppets on strings?
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting because Hulusi, he suggests that by aligning with these names, we can even tap into like a higher level of consciousness. He describes it as remembering our true nature as reflections of that universal pure consciousness.
So it's like we're uncovering a hidden code within ourselves,
Right.
a code that unlocks our true potential. It kind of reminds me of this whole idea of taqwa, or fearing Allah, which I think often gets misinterpreted.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not about cowering before this vengeful God,
Yeah.
Hulusi explains that taqwa is about living with an awareness of the consequences of our actions, recognizing how our choices ripple out and affect the world around us.
So it's more like respectful awareness,
Yeah,
understanding that our actions have weight and impact both in this life and beyond.
exactly. It's about aligning ourselves with the natural laws of the universe, what's called the Sunnatullah. And these laws are ultimately expressions of the divine names.
That makes me think about the names Al-Muqit and Al-Hasib, the sustainer and the reckoner.
Yes.
Al-Muqit provides everything we need, but Al-Hasib ensures that we're accountable for how we use those gifts.
That's a great connection.
Yeah.
It highlights that balance between divine provision and personal responsibility.
Yeah.
We're given everything we need to thrive, but we're also responsible for making wise choices with those blessings.
So it's not about taking those blessings for granted, but using them in a way that benefits both ourselves and others. Which makes me think about the concept of Isan, striving for excellence in everything we do.
Yes.
You know,
Isan elevates even the most mundane actions to a form of worship when done with awareness and sincerity.
Mhm.
It's about recognizing the sacred in the everyday, seeing every moment as an opportunity to express those divine qualities within us.
That's a beautiful way to frame it. This whole deep dive into Hulusi's perspective has really challenged me to rethink my understanding of reality, myself, and my relationship with the divine.
I think it's a powerful reminder that we're not separate from the divine,
Mhm.
but expressions of it, each carrying the potential to manifest those beautiful qualities.
So, if we are truly composed of these divine names, what qualities are most prominently expressed in our own lives? Which ones might we be neglecting? And how could awakening those neglected qualities change our experience of reality? Those are questions worth pondering as we continue our own exploration of these fascinating concepts.
I agree. Engaging with these names isn't just an intellectual exercise.
Mm.
It's a path of self-discovery and transformation, leading us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves, the universe, and our place within it.
Well, thank you for joining me on this deep dive. And for all of you listening, until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.